right. It took longer than I thought. Sorry for the delays. Probably gonna have to clip that up. But I thought I would take this time to tell a story. A story related to an unforced error that I did mention earlier. And it pertains to the ganja. Smoke, weed. So I hope you enjoy this story. Let's get to it.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
Okay, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's the hell's going on here. Obviously. Let me try something real quick. I can't. Hopefully it's recording, but obviously, as you know, my stuff tends to act up when I try to do stuff, but I'll go along with it anyway, because it looks like I'm actually recording. So, this story pertains to the doing drugs part of the unforced errors. Now, I did mention before that I was completely against it, still am, and I'm not for the whole doing illegal drugs because I'm aware of how, especially weed, because I'm aware of how it has been used. Anything harder than weed, not for it. I'm absolutely against drug use, right? Because in my mind, my logic at least, it's like, why would I want to get away from the world when I'm supposed to be doing shit and getting shit done? To me personally, growing up as a child. Now, mind you, it was reinforced by my stepfather, but at the same time, and my father. But at the same time, I'm like, why the hell would I want to do drugs to get high to try to get away from the world instead of living in the world and observing? Because I was a quiet kid. I loved to observe stuff. I learned so much, watching Nat Geo. I was different. I ain't gonna lie. It actually worked out well for the ladies because I was kind of the mysterious kid that knew a lot of shit. So they kind of that's actually one of the perks that comes from that. So if you're one of those mysterious guys, it kind of works out, kind of like Keanu Reeves. But I I like learning. I like getting out and doing stuff. I was into sports and things of that nature. And I was just like, hey, let me. Why would I want to do drugs? Why would I want to do weed? Like despite everybody around me doing it, I just had no kind of interest in it whatsoever. Right? I was actually very much against it. Like I was like, yeah, you doing something? Get away from me. Right? I did not want that in my space, in my area, none of that. Well, it just so happens when I was in college, I met a lovely young lady. Things were going fairly well, right? And we got to talking, and the subject of drugs and whatever came up somehow, or at some point in time. And I shared my perspective on it. And she kind of shared her perspective on it. She says she had done it and occasionally does it every now and then. Even though if you guys aren't familiar with some of my earlier stuff, lied to me. Now she tries to claim she had done it every now and then. Yeah, turned out she was undercover pothead. Like I'm talking about every other night, if not every night. During a certain stretch in college, she was pretty much. I guess things were getting stressful, and she would go out occasionally and just get high. Like she was straight up undercover pothead. And she knew I was against it, so she would actually lie when she was going out and stuff, which did not work out well in our relationship. I will tell you that. That did not go in her favor whatsoever. However, you know, we continue to have, talks about it, and I'll let her know, hey, if you're gonna do that shit, just keep that shit away from me. I don't want that shit over here at all, right? Because even though I had my reasons why I was against it, I knew, to some extent, at least at the time, this is like 10 years ago. At least at the time, there were some potential benefits that they were talking about, like medical stuff and whatnot, and they didn't exactly know of any legit long-term effects of it, or of the use of it. Of course, tobacco, I'm completely against that because of the cancer and whatnot, right? But extracurricular weed use, now of course they're legalizing it in various states and using it for medicinal purposes. you know I know some people. I've known some people that were on it medicinally. So, I had, like I said, I had my reasons why I myself was against it at the time. And she decided to be like, hey, you're a bit of a hypocrite. You're talking about something you've never done, you never experienced it, and et cetera, et cetera. And she talks about how she's done it and all this other stuff. And to a certain extent, I was like, well, you know what? This pothead chick, she actually has a point. I am a bit of a hypocrite. And I started thinking and pondering. And I was like, you know what? I am a bit of a hypocrite. So maybe, I should take up this pothead girl that I'm dealing with at the time. Maybe I should take her up on an offer. She's like, I'm going out with my friends at this time. You can come join us, and you'll be safe and okay and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. What can go wrong? I'm a believer pothead girl. What could possibly go wrong, right? Even though I was had fear of getting locked up and fear of it being laced with something, because at the time it wasn't, the fentanyl lacing and all that stuff wasn't popular back then. But I was aware that sometimes they could lace it with something additional. So I go out with her and her pothead friends, and I'm like, this is my chance to try something different, very much different. I've been totally against it, but a pothead chick said it's cool, so I'm gonna try it out. And sitting in the car, because mind you, for some reason their choice of smoking was in a fucking car for some reason. I don't know why, but for some reason they wanted to sit in the car. It was me, the pothead chick, the guy that got the drugs. He was driving the car. He's black. All of us were black, and then some lesbian chick. I think we were all black. So four black college students, right? Yeah, that doesn't, obviously, we have no problem getting pulled over by the cops, right? But four black college students sitting in a car, and somewhere in some neighborhood that I've never been in before, and pull out the joint, light it up, right? Light it up in the car, start doing the puff puff pass thing. Things is going well, the smoking's going well, and whatnot. And I'm thinking, okay, at first, initially, not really cool with it. I'm not all for us all putting our mouths on the same joint, right? I'm kind of a bit of a clean freak, but I got past that, and then I felt okay until about 30 seconds to a minute in, and then I started noticing, okay, now I'm starting to feel a lot different, right? Because I had heard about the effects of weed. I read up on some stuff, and I'm like, artists use it for certain purposes, the typical response to it and whatnot, right? And I'm thinking, okay, it shouldn't be too bad, right? Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. So get this: we're sitting in the thing, smoking up, and as soon as the high starts to kick in, I notice that things start to kind of move around me. It was like I was in a blender, and everything around me was like, as I moved, it was like there was an after effect of them moving as well. All the stars that I could see were extra bright, and it looked like they were in a whirlwind just spinning around and shit. And then that's when I realized I was like, holy shit, this is this is what high is like. Then it got deeper than that. Then I started noticing my brain processes and everything were like it was like they were somewhat accelerated but dumbed down at the same time. It was fucking weird. It was like I could think faster than normal, but at the same time I was moving and thinking in slow motion at the same time. Then I noticed, okay, this isn't, this seems more like in line with LSD or something, like, shit swirling around and whatnot. It definitely wasn't funny. I definitely wasn't calm because I was nervous as hell. One being because of the effects that I was suffering from the smoke of the weed that we were ingesting, but at the same time because the motherfucker who was in the car decided to crank the car up, put it in drive, and start driving while he's fucking smoking. And this is when I started losing my shit a bit. Now, mind you, I'm talking about, what the entire time I'm up here talking, and they made a funny joke about this at the end of the whole thing. I instead of it having a calming effect on me, it actually did the opposite, and I was talking the whole damn time. That's what they tell me. But I was nervous as fuck because I had this dude driving around, and if they were anywhere near as high as I was like, please, dear God, do not let us get into an accident. Please, I'm not religious. I'm not religious, but I was in such a state of shock and fear of us either getting pulled over by the cops or something. Because mind you, we're four black kids in a fucking car, right? Of us getting pulled over or some shit, of us possibly getting into a wreck. Because I know if they're anywhere near as high as me, he should not be driving this fucking vehicle. Because I wasn't alerted to the fact that we were going to go get high and then start driving around randomly or some shit. I was like, whoa, hold on, who the fuck said we were going to do this, right? And I was just praying, dear God, please let me get through this night without any charges, without any arrest, and intact and alive, and I will never do this shit again. That joint was like, buckle up, you're going on a fucking ride. I shit you not. That whatever the fuck that crap was, it was different. And even after the fact, when they were making fun of me because I was talking this shit, the guy was like, the guy that got the drugs, the guy that was fucking driving the car, he was like, oh yeah, that shit was actually pretty strong. Now, mind you, this is coming from a pothead who has pretty much been smoking their entire life, and he's like, oh yeah, that shit was pretty strong. And you're gonna give some shit like that to a greenhorn who's never smoked a joint in his fucking life. He did that shit on purpose. He did that shit on purpose because apparently he was trying to get at the pothead chick that I was with at the time. So of course, I guess he wanted to try to make me look weird. I guess he succeeded or whatever, right? Because he was like, "Oh yeah, that shit was actually pretty strong," and then of course, haha, laughing at me and shit because my response to it. And Jesus, and to some extent, I was I gained from that experience a lot of a lot more understanding as to why people smoke weed and the effects of it and the effects of certain kinds of it. And even Pothead Chick, shout out to her. She was definitely a pothead at the time. But I definitely did not marry her and have kids. Not to the Pothead Chick. Definitely did not do that. But it made me think after the whole ordeal, after me shitting my pants, praying to God that I would not be taken to jail or to the morgue after that night. And I thought about it and I was just like, before that experience, my thoughts on weed was it's stupid. I don't see the point of it. I was of course speaking from a point of somewhat inexperience, right? But I was like, it's dumb. I don't get why people, would do that or whatever. I'm not a drug person. I'm not for drugs. I'm totally against it, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing was really good about it. Maybe there was some medical stuff about it. Okay, go for that. Good for that. I hope they do the research and studies on that. Cool. But it's illegal. I know they like to lock up black people specifically for the use of it and possession of it, right? I had my reasons. I was raised a certain way. After that experience, I was just thinking, Now I've experienced this. I now see why. Um, I now see why some people do this. They get high. It definitely does help, I guess, relax. Even though there was a reason why I was I was a bit out of it at the time because I was fucking. I was like, Jesus Christ, like I hope, please, dear God, please just don't let me go to jail. Don't let this fuck up my life. Like, dear God, please. Like I was in full blown, uh, don't let this end horribly for me mode. So I was, yeah, I was nervous as fuck. I ain't gonna lie. But it made me think. And this is what I concluded from that. Smoking weed, doing those drugs to get high, if you inhale the stuff or whatever, from my experience of getting high, it is just every bit of amount of stupid as I originally thought it was, times a quadrillion. It was fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. And I don't see why people do it at all. I literally doubled down on my original thoughts about it, and I even got even more savage about it. Yeah, now that I've experienced it, it is every bit as dumb and stupid as I fucking thought it was. It is fucking retarded. I don't see why people do it. It does not help you get work done at all. If anything, it'll make you fucking paranoid. What's the fucking point? It's fucking stupid. I share my thoughts with Pothead Chick. Of course, she regressed. So shout out to Pothead Chick. But I definitely got stricter on it. I definitely made it very clear. Yeah, definitely keep that shit away from me because now I definitely, absolutely, am certainly for sure, 100% certain it is absolutely as stupid and dumb as I originally thought it was. So definitely keep that dumb shit away from me. And that was my experience with that. So yes, I went out there, I tried something new, and it just so happens that my original thoughts about it, what I originally thought it was used for, the original effects and how potentially damaging or useless it was, it was, yeah, it was pretty much on point. And thank God, like like yo, I'm y'all should have saw me. Like I might not have been in prayer pose, but absolutely in my mind at that moment in time, thank you God that I did not, Allah, whoever you praise, thank you for not letting that night go bad because the entire time when that buffoon was driving that fucking car, I was like, please don't let us get fucking pulled over and let this be the end of a potentially promising career for me because of some dumb shit. Because Pothead Chicks wants to try to make a point on showing how not so bad smoking weed is, even though after that experience, it is absolutely as dumb and stupid as I originally thought it was. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. So I have nothing against the people that want to use it. However, if you don't bring that shit around me, don't bring that shit around my family, do not bring that shit around my daughter, my future kids. I don't want nothing to do with it at all. Even if it's legalized, I still don't want nothing to do with it at all. I mean, well, maybe I might. No, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know nothing about drugs or weed, so I can't. I might not even be able to effectively make money from it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna steer clear of it at all. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. But that was my story. So, of course, I'm probably gonna have to clip this up because the start time is a bit extended. But I would like to know your experiences, if you have any experiences with extracurricular activities pertaining to drugs of certain types, right? Um, because from my experience, I just it was as dumb as I thought it would be. I didn't get anything from it. It didn't help me in any kind of way, and I could not see myself. doing that every night, if not every other night, if not every week or every weekend or some shit like that. I don't see the point in wasting my time doing that. I already don't like putting foreign things in my body. Like even when I bodybuild and stuff, I don't like using all that extra bodybuilder shit. Like I like to just kind of eat right, drink my water and stuff. Maybe have a little bit of protein here and there, but usually I just eat protein instead of ingesting some sort of protein powder. Like I'm very strict on certain things that I utilize and don't utilize. I do take multivitamins and stuff like that, and that's pretty much as far as I'm gonna go. When it comes to drugs and stuff, unless I really need some painkillers like after surgery or something, I'm not for it. I'm totally against it, and there I have my reasons for it, especially if it's illegal, especially if I know they're going to target people like myself, a young black man, for it, and try to lock my ass up, and it makes me less productive. It's got too much negative against it. So it will forever maintain. It'll forever be an unforced error in my book. Like I said, if you get caught up with it, if you don't do something you're supposed to do, like a project or something, because of it, you wanted to go get high or drunk or something like that. I mean, it's each, that's up to you. It's an unforced error. You don't need to do it. Trust me, it is very dumb. That's my experience with it. But if anyone out there has a different experience about it, you got some sort of argument about it, feel free to leave a comment. But I will leave it at that. So till next time, folks.
お前はもう死んでいる。